Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deva Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
Jaya Jaya Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deva Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
So last time we discussed the first 19 verses of chapter 3, which is entitled The External Reasons for the Lord's Appearance.
This is for your stomach.
Okay. So the chapter began with a very beautiful prayer of appreciation, offering a benediction that even a fool can mine the valuable jewels from so many different theories and philosophies that are present by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And he then gets into the fourth Mangala Charan, which is a very beautiful, again it is a benediction that he offers, the fourth Mangala Charan from the first chapter. And based on this Mangala Charan, he's going to explain the external reasons for the Lord's appearance. And this is such a beautiful Mangala Charan. He says, "May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost core of your heart." It means he's saying, let Lord Chaitanya be situated in our innermost core of our hearts. So he is offering this prayer. And he says that Lord Chaitanya, resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before. Okay. And what is that? Is it only just the love of Godhead? What is he offering that is really unique and which has never been offered?
To establish the Sankirtan loving.
Yes. He is going to share the most elevated mellow of devotional service. Not only is going to share prema bhakti, but he's going to share the topmost experience of prema bhakti, which most people have not even heard, what to talk about experienced. So this is the uniqueness of this incarnation. That Krishna comes directly as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to offer something which has never been shared before. And as I said last time, that this is very, very surprising, because he's coming in a time where people are most spiritually impoverished. So he's coming with the best deal for the most unqualified people. So in one sense it doesn't make sense that you're going to offer something, at least you're going to offer something, that someone deserves, or someone has some little qualification for that, but no qualification. Patra apatra vichar nahi, nahi sthana sthana. So the mood is very, very unique. They're not seeing that whether you have the qualification or not. Lord Chaitanya is not going to see that. What is our social standing? He's not going to see that. Je ja paaye taha kore prema dan. This is a beautiful verse that from the 7th chapter. So wherever they see, whoever they see, whichever situation they may be, they've come to give liberally the Panchatattva. And we discussed that how rare the Lord's appearance is. Once in a day of Brahma. That is how many years?
4.3.
Yes, 4.3 billion years. And Krishna descended and he performed these beautiful pastimes with his associates. He had all these loving exchanges with his associates. And then he goes back. And when he goes back, he's thinking, he says that, for a long time, Chira Kale, I have not given this prema bhakti to everyone. And he says, Bhakti vina jagat tera nahi avasthan. That this existence of in this world has no meaning without bhakti. So then he decides that that he's going to come and he's going to bestow this prema bhakti to everyone. Another word that is used here is chari bhakti, right, which is the bhakti of the 4 mellows of devotional service. Right? Which rasas are those? The 4 rasas? Yeah. Yes. So he's going to come and bestow this. And how is he going to do that? That he's going to inaugurate the Sankirtan mission. So this was the last verse that we read, that you please repeat after me. This is verse number 19. Yuga dharma pravartaimu nama sankirtana.
Yuga dharma pravartaimu nama sankirtana.
Chari bhava bhakti diya nachamu bhuvana.
Chari bhava bhakti diya nachamu bhuvana.
So Lord Chaitanya is going to come and he's going to personally inaugurate Yuga Dharma, which is the Nama Sankirtana. He's going to inaugurate that. And what is he going to do? He's going to give the 4 mellows, Chari Bhava Bhakti Diya. He wants to make everyone dance in ecstasy. So this is the intent with which Krishna appears in the form of Lord Chaitanya. Now, in the next section, we're going to discuss some very, very important verses, because Krishna is coming in the form of Lord Chaitanya to give the topmost mellow to the most unqualified, and in Kali Yuga. Right? So it's a very, very daunting kind of proposition. It's an inconceivably difficult proposition because of the condition of the people in Kali Yuga. How are they going to accept this? How are they going to practice this? How are they going to experience this? And we will see in the next 40 to 50 verses that when Krishna comes, he has a plan. Just like, business people or even in government, they make strategic plans. Like they come up with a vision, then what they want to achieve, what they are about, what defines them. They come up with values. They come up with 5 year targets, and then they come up with objectives to achieve their targets. They come with different processes. So Krishna is the ultimate strategic planner, because he comes with an amazing plan that how he is going to execute this mission, this daunting mission in Kali Yuga. And the first thing he does is that he realizes that if he really wants to teach prema bhakti and he wants people to accept devotional service, then he has to demonstrate that himself. And in order to do that, he has to come in a form of a devotee. Because the most effective way to teach something is to first practice it. So imagine if he just came as a king and he just gave orders. Would it be possible to distribute prema bhakti just by mandating certain laws and passing resolutions? Will it be possible? Why won't it be possible? Suppose today Modi ji says that you have no choice but to stay at home and chant 64 rounds and give everything to Krishna.
Forcibly we cannot ask anyone.
Okay, why?
It should come from inside. Until and unless it's genuine.
Huh?
It will not be genuine.
So what will not be genuine?
Their mood, their feeling.
Okay, bhav will not be genuine. Spontaneity will not be there. Basically, love is ultimately based on free will. You can't tie up someone and say, okay, come on, love the Lord or love me. No, is it possible? Just to save their lives, they may say, yes. But how long will they be able to do it? How long will they be able to sustain it? So love can't be enforced on anyone. And it has to be shared, and it has to be demonstrated. So Krishna is, he's the Lord, he's the most intelligent. So let's recite verse number 3.20. Okay. Apani karimu bhakta bhava angikare.
Apani karimu bhakta bhava angikare.
Apani achari bhakti shikhamu sabare.
Apani achari bhakti shikhamu sabare.
So apani, personally I shall make, or I shall take the position of a devotee, and I shall teach devotional service by practicing it myself. And let's recite the next verse, because they are very closely linked. आपने न कोइलो धर्म शिखाना न जाया, एते सिद्धांत गीता भागवत गाया. Unless one practices devotional service himself, he cannot teach it to others. And whose opinion is this? This is the conclusion confirmed throughout the Gita and the Bhagavatam. And we'll go back to the purport of 320. So Srila Prabhupada writes, and this is related to some of the discussions we had last time. He says, when one associates with a pure devotee, he becomes so elevated that he does not aspire even for Shastri, Sarupya, Samipya or Salokya, because he feels that such liberation is a kind of sense gratification. So this is the nature of bhakti, that when experiences pure bhakti, they are not interested in liberation. Why? Because they do not ask anything from the Lord for their personal benefit. Even if offered personal benefits, pure devotees do not accept them, because their only desire is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by transcendental loving service. So last time we discussed many examples of devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, like Haridas Thakur. He was beaten up in so many different marketplaces, but he had so much faith and love for the Lord. Prahlad Maharaj, he was offered all kinds of benediction from Lord Narsingadev. So he says, no, I don't care about myself, but I'm worried about these foolish people who are entrapped in this cage of Maya, and they're suffering so much. I want to help them get free from this bondage. Just see the mood of a pure devotee. And Lord Chaitanya himself, he prays in the mood of a devotee. He says, no, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. He rejects the three primary material things that we all are chasing. And he rejects. And he says, Mama janmane janmane. Let me have repeated births. But what do I want? I want unmotivated and uninterrupted devotion to you. So very high standard of prayer and devotion. And this is the nature of a pure devotee that Prabhupada is describing. And then Prabhupada writes that no one but the Lord himself can teach this highest form of devotional service. Therefore, when Lord took the place of the incarnation of Kali Yuga to spread the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, the system of worship recommended in this age, he also distributed the process of devotional service performed on the platform of transcendental spontaneous love. To teach the highest principles of spiritual life, the Lord himself appeared as a devotee in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And now Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he will give reference to the verses in scripture based on which he has made these statements. And he shares four verses from the Bhagavad Gita, 2 from chapter 4 and 2 from chapter 3. The famous verses from chapter 4, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhayuttanama dharmasya tadatmanam srijami aham. So whenever and wherever there is decline in religious principle, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise in irreligion, at that time I descend myself. And what do? I deliver the pious and I annihilate the miscreants. As well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. And then he references another 2 verses in the 3rd chapter, in which Krishna says that if I don't show the proper principles of religion, then all these worlds would fall into ruin. I would be the cause of unwanted population and would spoil all these living beings. After that, he shares this famous shloka that says, whatever actions a great man performs, yat yat acharati shreshtas, tat tat evataro jana, sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. So whatever action a great man performs, common people follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So what he said in these 2 verses, before sharing these verses of the Gita, he has substantiated what he has said by the verses in the Gita. And this he does, you'll see, he always does this. So whatever assertions he makes, or whatever he says, ultimately backs it up with Shastric evidence. And this is, Prabhupada was saying in the lecture, that whatever we say, right, ultimately it should be backed by Shastric reference. Whatever Krishna consciousness that we share with others, ultimately should be backed by Shastric reference. Yes, we can share our realizations, we can come up with different analogies, but ultimately they have to be substantiated by Shastric verses. Krishna, he says that, now this is Lord Chaitanya who's talking, or Krishna who's talking, sorry. This is still in apostrophe. You can see the 2. So Krishna is saying that my plenary portions, they can establish the principles of dharma of every age. So different avatars can come, but to bestow prema bhakti, this can only be done by him personally. He says, no other person than myself can do this. And then again, Kaviraj Goswami, he quotes a reference from Bilva Mangal Thakur's Laghu Bhagavad Amrita 1.5.37. This is in verse 27, where he says that there may be many or all auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Sri Krishna can bestow love of God upon the surrendered souls? So, prema bhakti can only be bestowed by whom? By Krishna himself. So let's recite 3.28. তাহাতে আপন ভক্তি গণ করি সঙ্গে
তাহাতে আপন ভক্তি গণ করি সঙ্গে
পৃথিবীতে অবতারি করি নান রঙ্গে
পৃথিবীতে অবতারি করি নানা রঙ্গে
Therefore, in the company of my devotees, apana bhakta gani kori sange. In the company of my devotees, I shall appear on this earth. And what will I do? I'll perform many colorful pastimes. Nana range. And thinking thus, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, descended at Nadia early in the age of Kali, which is called the Pratham Sandhya, the beginning of Kali Yuga. Lord Chaitanya descends. And according to the Surya Siddhanta, the Pratham Sandhya of Kali Yuga lasts 36,000 solar years. And Lord Chaitanya appeared in the Pratham Sandhya after 4,586 solar years of the Kali Yuga. In the next verses, Kaviraj Goswami, he compares Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to a lion. So when you think of a lion, what comes to your mind? King, okay? Bold, very good. Powerful, royal, right? Regal.
Ferocious.
Rude. Roaring, okay. Yes. Ferocious. Yes. Fearless, yes, fearless, bold. So he makes a wonderful prayer. He says that Lord, the lion like Lord Chaitanya has appeared in Navadvip. He has shoulders of a lion, the powers of a lion, and the loud voice of a lion. So what's he come for? Like, why is he comparing him to the lion? What is his roaring going to dispel? No, roaring going to dispel, mane hatayega kya? Okay, darkness, illusion, yes. Evil, okay, yes.
Incorrect relations. Incorrect meaning of relation. That
Okay.
time.
Okay. Anarthas, very nice. So this is the prayer he makes in the next verse, 3.31. He says, may that lion be seated in the core of the heart of every living being. And what will happen? Thus, by his resounding roar, right, he will drive away our elephant-like vices. So no matter how big and giant our vices may be, how deep our conditionings may be, who has the power to drive them away? Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he appeared in a poor Brahmin family or a simple Brahmin family. But what kind of power does he have? Okay, love.
Compassion.
Yeah, he has all the power. But this power that is being referred to is his spiritual power. And that is what is going to drive away even the darkness of Kali and all our elephant-like giant, no matter how big our vices may be. It will drive away those vices. And in his early pastimes, he is known as Vishwambhar. Why? Because he floods the world with the nectar of devotion and he saves the living beings. And he explains that in verse number 33. He says the verbal root Duvrin, which is the root of the word Vishwambhar, it indicates that he nourishes and maintains the three worlds by distributing love of God. Right? So he is the maintainer and he is the nourisher. And how does he do that? By distributing love of God. And later on in his pastimes, his Shesha Leela, which is so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was here for 48 years. And the first 24 years, those are Adi Lila, and he was a householder. And in his Shesha Leela, the last 24 years, or half his life, he lived as a sannyasi. And he is known as Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And what does he do? He blesses the whole world by teaching the name and fame of Lord Sri Krishna. So it's explained, Sri Krishna Janai Shaba Vishwa Koilo Dhanya. So he makes everyone fortunate by sharing the knowledge of Krishna with everyone. And there is a very long purport to verse number 34. And in that, Srila Prabhupada shares some details about sannyas in our sampradaya. And he says that some Vaishnavas claim that sannyas started in the Vaishnav sampradaya with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. But he says that is not true. It actually started before with, who did it start with? It started with Vishnu Swami Vaishnav Sampradaya. And Prabhupada says that therefore Vaishnav sannyas was existent even before the appearance of Shankaracharya. Although those who know nothing about Vaishnav sannyas unnecessarily declare that there is no sannyas in the Vaishnav Sampradaya. So he makes it clear that there was sannyas even before Sripad Shankaracharya appeared. And interestingly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas in which sampradaya? Shankaracharya sampradaya. And why did he do that? Why do you think he did that? Okay, yes, he was the most influential and recognized at that time. Okay, that's part of the reason.
He wanted to influence all of those people who are connected to those sampradayas.
Okay, yes. So there, when he was spreading the love of God as a householder, there was one section of people that did not take him seriously, and explained in the 7th chapter in detail, who those people are: logicians, Mayavadis, impersonalists, atheists. Right? So there was a certain section of people that didn't take him seriously. And in order to deliver them, he again, as a strategical move, he decided to take sannyas. when he saw that, certain section was being deprived of this greatest wealth, he decided as a strategy, he would adopt sannyas to help them. And even though he took sannyas in the from a sannyasi in the Sankracharya Sampradaya, but he still remained, he kept his brahmachari name. So it's explained in the last, in the third last paragraph. It says that according to the regulation of the disciplic succession, one who wishes to enter the renounced order in Shankara's sect must first be trained as a brahmachari under a bona fide sannyasi. The brahmachari's name is ascertained according to the group to which the sannyasi belongs. Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas from Keshav Bharati. When he first approached Keshav Bharati, he was accepted as a brahmachari with the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya Brahmachari. After he took sannyas, he preferred to keep the same name, Krishna Chaitanya. And why? This explanation has been given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he said that because a sannyasi in the Shankara Sampradaya thinks that he has become one with the Supreme, Lord Chaitanya, wanting to avoid such a misconception, kept the name of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, placing himself as an eternal servitor. A brahmachari is supposed to serve the spiritual master. Therefore, he did not negate that relationship of servitude to his spiritual master. Accepting such a position is favorable for the relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master. So this is actually Lord Chaitanya's, or Krishna's brilliance and genius, that he takes the form of a devotee and he is willing to do whatever it takes to deliver all sections of people. And he puts himself in such a humble position. We'll see in the 7th chapter that when he's actually introducing himself to the sannyasis, the sannyasis question him that, why do you chant and dance like a sentimentalist? You're a sannyasi. Your dharma is to, study the Vedanta. But we see you like a mad, sentimentalist. You're like dancing and chanting with all these other, bhavukas, sentimentalists. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will cover that conversation in great detail. But he says, the way he deals with them is so sweet and so exemplary. He says, my spiritual master saw me as a fool. He says, Murkho tumi, tumar nahi Vedanta adhikar. Krishna nama japo sada ei mantra sar. This is my spiritual master, he considered me a fool. He said, I don't have the right to even approach the Vedanta. So he said, you just chant these names of Krishna, Shai mantra sa, they're the essence of all mantras. So Lord Chaitanya taught that what is our real identity? How should we identify ourselves? So devotee means a humble servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach Prema Bhakti. And he didn't identify himself as a Brahmin. He didn't identify himself as a sannyasi. He rejected everything. And what did he identify as? Gopi? Yes. I'm the servant of the lover of the gopis. This is very, very significant point for all of us, that first our identity, and then also we have a great responsibility, because we cannot share Krishna consciousness unless we act responsibly. Apani achari. So our sharing of Krishna consciousness will only be as effective as our behavior. So no matter what strategies we may adopt, no matter how much funds we may have, gigantic temples we may have, nice classrooms and big screens and whatever we may have, or we may not have. But the real effect on other people will only take place to the extent that we are deeply convinced and we deeply practice what we share with others. We may not be perfect, but if we are not practicing sincerely, then whatever we share, it's not going to touch other people's hearts. And this is one of the main messages. Eite Siddhanta. This Siddhanta is explained in the Gita and the Bhagavatam, repeatedly. So we have to make every endeavor to keep our petty differences aside, petty issues aside, and really help each other to practice sincerely and seriously the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, we'll be wearing dhoti and tilak and really not touch other people's hearts. So this is a very important learning from this example of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is just his mindset right now. He's just thinking that I will descend, I will take the form of a devotee, I will do this, I will do that. And then when he comes, his activities are at a really different level. What he's thinking, he really demonstrates to the T. Whatever he teaches, he teaches by example. And he wanted us that Janma sarthak kori karo paro upakar. Perfect your life. So being a aspiring devotee, sharing Krishna consciousness with others, it brings a great responsibility on each one of us. And we have to feel that weight. If we don't feel the weight, then we never become sincere and serious. But if we feel the weight of these words, of the example of Lord Chaitanya, then we will make endeavor Despite our imperfections, we will keep trying. Now in the next section, which starts from verse number 35 to 39. Now for the first time, he is going to share something from the scripture that tells about Lord Chaitanya's coming. She is going to give references now, starting from this verse. And this is verse number, 35. Knowing Lord Chaitanya to be the incarnation of Kali Yuga, Garga Muni, during the naming ceremony of Krishna, predicted his appearance. Okay. So this is in the Bhagavatam. During the naming ceremony of Krishna, then Garga Muni, he actually predicted the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. And how did he do that? He said that this boy has 3 colors. Other colors. And what are those colors? White, red and yellow. And he appears in different ages. And now he has appeared in a transcendental blackish color. This is verse number 8 from the 10th canto, verse number 13 from the 8th chapter of the 10th canto. And white, red and yellow, these are the 3 bodily lustres that the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, assumes in the ages of Satya, Treta and Kali. So white in which? White in Satyug, red in Treta. Yeah, so this is a misconception that we have. Lord Ram is not the Yuga avatar of Treta Yuga. Do you know who the Yuga avatar is? Yes. So he's a Brahmin boy. And he is red in color. Yagya. He has many names actually. In the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, let me just find that reference. White in Satyuga, yes. So in the 11th canto, 5th chapter, you can refer to verses 21 to 24. So, this is 11th canto, 5th chapter. You can refer to the verses 21 to 24. And 21 it said, in Satyuga, the Lord is white and 4-armed, has matted locks and wears a garment of tree bark. He carries a black deer skin, a sacred thread, prayer beads, and the rod and water pot of a brahmachari. No, he's not Vamandev. No. His name is Hamsa Suparna Vaikuntha Dharma Yogeshwara Amala Ishvara Purusha Avyakta and Paramatma. He's known by these names. So usually we think that yeah, so Ham Saptar. Yes.
So the red color that you said, Prabhuji,
That's Treta Yuga. So in Treta Yuga, the Lord appears with a red complexion. He has again 4 arms, golden hair, wears a triple belt representing initiation into each of the 3 Vedas, embodying the knowledge of worship by sacrificial performance, which is contained in the Rig, Sama and Yajur Vedas. His symbols are the ladle, spoon and other implements of sacrifice. And what are his names? His names are Vishnu, Yagya, Rishni Garbha, Sarva Deva, Urukrama, Vrishakapi, Jayanta and Urugaya. So So these are probably names that most of us have never heard.
So, Prabhuji, we can understand the Treta Yuga is more like a yagya avatar.
Yes,
That's why it's red in color.
yes.
So Ram is nowhere then?
No, Ram is Leela avatar. He's not Yuga avatar.
But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Yuga avatar.
Yeah, he's Yuga avatar.
Yuga avatar is what the dharma of Yuga is called as Yuga avatar.
Yeah, the one who comes to establish the dharma of that yuga.
So, and hence Kali Yuga is.
Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
In the previous verse, we discussed that Lord Krishna himself comes to attract the souls.
Yes.
Because nobody else can do that. So, Prabhuji, there are so many people and so many followers who are attracted to Lord Ramchandra. So then, Prabhuji, where is the need of Lord Krishna coming and attracting the souls? Because so many people are already, doing the devotion of Lord Ramchandra.
Yeah, so I'll address this once we're done with this discussion. Yeah, Dwapar Yuga is Krishna. Krishna is your Yuga avatar.
Prabhuji, as we said that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar. Why he's not a Leela avatar? Because he's done Leela. Why do you say that in Kali Yuga it's Kaliki Bhagwan, he's the Leela avatar? So why is the...
So there are many Leela avatars for different ages.
But then in Kali
So-
Yuga I'm talking about why Mahaprabhu is not being called as Leela avatar.
I mean, technically you can call him Leela avatar also. He's also the Yuga avatar.
But then you can't really say Kalki Bhagwan is the Yuga avatar.
No, you can't. Because the Yuga avatar, he comes for a specific purpose. To establish, Kalki comes to destroy everything, right, at the end. He doesn't come to establish the Yuga Dharma. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to establish the Yuga Dharma.
So every incarnation comes with some sort of a purpose is called a Yuga avatar.
No, not the incarnation.
Not incarnation, I mean that Yuga avatar of that particular age if we talk about.
Yeah.
Like Yagya Purusha,
Yes.
about Hanpatar, so they came with some sort of a purpose.
Yes.
That's why they've been called as
So
Yuga.
each one comes with a purpose. It's not that they don't come for a purpose, but the Yuga avatar specifically has the mission of establishing the process for that age, the yagya for that age. Okay. What will be the method of worship in that age?
Like Hamsa avatar came, he gave a purpose of meditation. When he came in the
Yes.
and Yagya came.
Okay.
Prabhuji, Leela avatars are by Purusha avatars, right? And Yuga avatar is Lord comes directly. Is that true?
Yeah, so in that purport which we discussed last time, right, that translation, it says that it comes from the Purusha avatars. But I want to check that once before, okay? Because in another translation, it says it comes from the Lord. So I want to check that and answer that question.
Sure.
Okay.
So 10 avatars which came of Krishna,
Yeah.
what they would be called?
So most of them are Leela avatars. Yes. Okay. So I can hear someone online. Any questions? Shanki Prabhu, Vikram Prabhu, Rasik Keshav Prabhu, Dinesh Prabhu, Param Kishore Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Okay, so if you have no questions, we'll move further. We have a few more minutes. So Krishna descended in Which Yuga? Dwapar Yuga. And he descended in the blackish color. And this, he says, is the essence of the statements in the Puranas and other Vedic literatures. And in the Dwapar Yuga, he's dressed in yellow, he holds his own weapons, he's decorated with the Kastuba jewel and mark of the Srivatsa. Right? This is how his symptoms have been described. Now again, this has been described in the Bhagavatam, same chapter, 5th chapter of the 11th canto, 27th verse. And in verse number 40, let's recite this verse. Koli yuge yuga dharma namera prachara. Koli yuge yuga dharma namera prachara. Tathi lagi pita varna chaitanya avatara. Tathi lagi pita varna chaitanya avatara. Koli yuge yuga dharma namera prachara. Kali yuge yuga dharma namera prachara. Tathi lagi pita varna chaitanya avatara. Tathi lagi pita varna chaitanya avatara. The religious practice for the age of Kali is to broadcast the glories of the holy name. Only for this purpose, Tathi lagi, in a yellow color, Pita Varna, Chaitanya avatar. That Lord Chaitanya descended, or Krishna descended as Lord Chaitanya. So for many, many years, and especially in my initial years, I always had this misconception that Krishna is difficult to understand. He's doing things that really confuse us. Put a lot of doubts in our head. Like, what's he doing? Going in the middle of the night and dancing with other people's wives, and what is he doing? Doesn't stealing the gopis' clothes and so many things that really fly over the head, or used to fly over the head. Still some of them fly over the head. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he seemed more accessible. So the first few years of my devotional life, maybe even 10 years, I would say, that I had this clear thing that black and white, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu good, Krishna is question mark. Then one day I'll tell you what happened. That one day I was just reflecting, and then I said, you duh, who is the one who comes in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Who is that person who assumes the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who comes up with this plan to deliver us in this form, in this manner, in this style? Who is that great personality? Who's that? The one with the question marks. So then what happened? What do you think happened to those question marks? They started dissipating. Yes. So just some personal thing.
Krishna knew that we are going to get confused, so he in the form of Lord Chaitanya.
So a nice one. So this is the verse that clearly states that why Lord Chaitanya descended. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he shares some amazing verses about the importance of chanting the Lord's names and the importance of this Yuga Dharma. And he says that in this age of Kali, the practical system of religion for everyone is the chanting of the name of Godhead. this was introduced in this age by Lord Chaitanya. Bhakti Yoga actually begins with the chanting of the holy name, as confirmed by Madhvacharya in his commentary on the Mundaka Upanishad. So then he quotes this verse that in the Dwapar Yuga, people should worship Lord Vishnu only by regulative principles of the Narada Pancharatra and other authorized books. But in the age of Kali, people should simply chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the next verse, it's very, very significant, and we should all memorize this verse from the Kali Santarana Upanishad. So where the Maha Mantra is actually stated, and then after that it's said that Iti Sodakshanam Nam Nam, right? That these 16 names of Lord, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, they destroy all the vices of Kali. And then the following line is even more beautiful. It says, Natara Parattaro Upai. Right? If we try to find so many solutions, he says, there is no better upai than this. And who's, from the perspective of all the Vedic literatures, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. Such a powerful statement. And in the next few verses, another feature of the Lord is discussed. So first he takes the form of a devotee. And so his swabhav is of a devotee. His activities are of a devotee. And one of his other assets that he has that attracts people is his physical beauty. So the Lord is also very physically beautiful. So this is another one of his astras. And he doesn't come with any weapons in this age. But what's his weapon? His weapon is his ideal behavior as a devotee. His weapon is his attractive golden form. And it's explained that in the next few verses, that the luster of his expansive body resembles molten gold. I don't know, I've never seen molten gold, but you can imagine liquefied gold. I mean, how it would look. And the deep sound of his voice conquers the thundering of newly assembled clouds. So he has a very grave voice. It's explained, Kantha Dhvani Je Gambhira. So he has a very grave voice. And he's also very tall. It's described that one who measures 4 cubits in height with his own hand is celebrated as a great personality. So 4 cubits equals, I think 6.9, 6 feet 9 inches, something like that, close to 7 feet. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also very tall. And sorry, I lost. He's very tall, and his body is also very symmetrical. That's one of the 32 features of spiritually empowered people, Mahapurushas. So one of the features of that is, one quality is that's described in verse number 43, Nyagrodha Parimandala, which it's explained that it's symmetrical like a banyan tree. Now when we see a banyan tree, the roots and all, they're not symmetrical. But if you see the overall feature of the banyan tree, then it is quite symmetrical. It appears like there's a nice dome-like structure. So this is how his body has been described, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. So when someone is very attractive, you will see that their features are quite symmetrical, their body. It's not that their eyes will be big and then the ears will be small and the nose will be really small. This very symmetrical. It makes a person more attractive physically. And his arms are long enough to reach his knees, and his eyes are like lotus flowers, and his nose is like a sesame flower, and his face is as beautiful as the moon. And not only is he physically beautiful, he has another beauty. And what is that beauty? It's his inner beauty, his swabhav. So we'll read verse number 45. Shantadanta Krishna Bhakti Nishta Parayana,
Shantadanta Krishna Bhakti Nishta Parayana,
Bhakta Vatsal Sushila Sarva Bhuta Sama,
Bhakta Vatsal Sushila Sarva Bhuta Sama.
So he's very peaceful. Shanta, Danta, he's self-controlled. And he is Krishna Bhakti Nishta Parayan. That means that he's fully devoted to the transcendental loving service of Krishna. So look at his character. Look at his inner beauty. And he is Bhakta Vatsal. He's very affectionate towards the devotees. And he's Sushila. He's very gentle. And he's Sarva Bhute Sam. He's equally disposed towards all living beings. So what a beautiful character to have. Self-controlled, peaceful, gentle, equally disposed to others, and fully devoted to the service of the Lord. So should we be aspiring for this? Yes. These are the qualities that we should pray for and aspire for. And he's decorated with sandalwood bangles and armlets, and he's also anointed with sandalwood pulp. And why does he wear this? He wears this especially to dance in Sri Krishna Sankirtan. And recording all these qualities of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, the sage Vyasampayana included his name in the Vishnu Saharsra Nam. Okay. Now whatever he described, this is actually described in the Vishnu Saharsra Nam. So now he's giving the reference for whatever he has said. And he quotes this verse number 49. It said that in his early pastimes he appears as a householder with a golden complexion. His limbs are beautiful and his body smeared with the pulp of sandalwood seems like molten gold. In his later pastimes he accepts sannyas order and is equipoised and peaceful. He is the highest abode of peace and devotion, for he silences the impersonist non-devotees. And this verse 49 is the verse from the Mahabharata Dana Dharma Vishnu Saharsra Stotra, and describing what he has already explained in the previous verse in Bengali that we recited. He's giving the reference. So this is the second reference for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Clearly referring to him in the Vishnu Sahasra in the Mahabharata. And in the purport, the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explains that why does he have, why is he described with such features? So first he describes the confidential truth of the personality of Godhead, and second he satisfies everyone by knowledge and attachment to Krishna. He is peaceful because he renounces all topics not related to the service of Krishna. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan has explained that the word Nishta indicates that his being rigidly fixed in chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya subdued all disturbing opponents of devotional service, especially the monists who are actually averse to the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. Okay. And we will stop here today because the next section is also very, very important, and there's a long purport which we will discuss next time. So we covered 30 verses and there's some beautiful verses that are going to come up in the next section as well.